watching in your interest. As the world grapples with crisis and confusion in the midst of wars, ceasefires and supposed mediations, today India yet again did what it has been doing for the last 3 months, sending out a clear message that its stand on terrorism remains singular and unequivocal. It was the first time after Operation Sindoor that India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh shared the stage with the Pakistani Defence Minister Khawaja Asif and its benefactor, the host of the Shanghai Cooperation Organisation Summit, China. Beijing was the battleground where India once again sounded the bugle against terrorism, its sympathisers, financiers and support systems. Not just that, the Pakistan-China tango on terror was also derailed. This duo on multiple global stages have weakened the global fight against terror, but India took on this duplicity today and blocked an attempt by the two of them together to dilute the issue of terrorism in the joint statement that was to be issued from the SCO. Now, this joint statement that was being prepared had no mention of the Pahalgam terror attack. Instead, on a demand by Pakistan, there was a sneaky attempt to try and insert the issue of Balochistan. But caught on camera was how Rajnath Singh perused the documents and then put his pen down, refusing to sign the joint statement, which basically meant that this meeting of the SCO had no joint statement at all in the end. Subsequently, he also delineated India's stand on terrorism, where he told everyone assembled that now the time is over for anyone to try and even attempt a double standard on the issue of terror.
It is imperative that those who sponsor, nurture and utilize terrorism for their narrow and selfish ends must bear the consequences. Some countries use cross-border terrorism as an instrument of policy and provide shelter to terrorists. There should be no place for such double standards. SCO should not hesitate to criticize such nations. Exercising its right to defend against terrorism and preempt as well as deter further cross-border terrorist attacks, India on 7th May 2025 successfully launched Operation Sindoor to dismantle cross-border terrorist infrastructure.
We had Raksha Mantri, our Defence Minister, participating in the Defence Ministers' meeting of SCO. This meeting happened over 2 days, that is yesterday and today. The Defence Ministers' meeting has concluded. I understand that they could not adopt a joint statement. I also understand that certain member countries could not reach consensus on certain issues, and hence the document could not be finalized. On our side, India wanted concerns on terrorism reflected in the document, which was not acceptable to one particular country, and therefore the statement was not adopted.
By the way, India's stand at SCO is not a one-off case. From BRICS to G7 or UNGA, India's position has been unwavering that terrorism will not be tolerated and it will be answered if any misadventures are even attempted. For those in India who piggybacked on Trump to try and build a narrative of surrender, the US president on the one hand is in a situation where no one really knows what he is thinking. He is right at the center of the chaos that he is birthing with his numerous statements. On the other hand, you have India, which is single-mindedly and in a focused fashion sending out its message on tackling terror on Operation Sindoor. The question, though, is who does one trust?
They will not talk about 71. They want people to forget about 71, which was a moment of pride for the country, which continues to be a moment of pride for the country. During Operation Sindoor, it was not Narendra Modi who was trending. During Operation Sindoor, it was Indira Gandhi who was trending. People were remembering her courage, her boldness. In 1971, the country was not as strong as it is today. We were economically dependent on several nations. Yet Indira Gandhi had the courage to look into the eyes of Nixon. And she did not get afraid. He got scared. So now Mr. Modi is compared to her. There is no comparison. He gets afraid, scared of China, gives them a clean sheet. He gets scared of US, withdraws the army. Army would have achieved much more.
We ended, Serbia was going to go at it. But maybe the most important of all, India and Pakistan. And that wasn't whether or not they may someday have nukes like we're talking about in the Middle East, like we're talking about with Israel and Iran. This is they have nuclear weapons. I ended that with a series of phone calls on trade. I said, look, if you're going to go fighting each other, it was getting very bad. You know how bad that last attack was. It was really bad. If you're going to go fighting each other, we're not doing any trade deal. No, you have to do a trade deal. I said, we're not doing any trade deal. And in fact, I had the general, who was very impressive. The general from Pakistan was in my office last week. Prime Minister Modi is a great friend of mine. He's a great gentleman. He's a great man. And I got them to reason. I said, we're not doing a trade deal if you're going to fight. And if you're going to fight each other, we're not doing a trade deal. And you know what? They said, no, I want to do the trade deal. We stopped the nuclear work.
All right. So the choice is pretty clear at this point. On the one hand, is believe what Donald Trump is saying. Not too many people are sure of what he is trying to say. Or you believe what India has said and continues to say even now. Believing Trump to attack India, is that a bad strategy? Operation Sindoor to SCO, India has drawn a line on terror and remains steadfast on it. RP Singh, BJP spokesperson, joins us along with Ashpreet Khadial, Congress spokesperson, Adit Kothari, geopolitics and foreign affairs expert, and Major General Sudhakar, a defense and strategy expert. Let me start by asking you, Ashpreet Khadial, now that we've had about 2 months now, Operation Sindoor, Operation, midnight hammer, the whole works. Now you would agree that India is far, far more trustworthy to believe rather than the President of the United States.
Thank you, Padma, for the question. The most important question here is, why did the SCO document omit the Pahalgam attack that took place, and at the same time include the train hijacking that took place in Pakistan? How come they had the audacity to do that? And at the same time, the Bharatiya Janata Party's failure at the diplomacy has resulted into this. Number one, see, our forces did a commendable job. Our army did a commendable job.
But how is it a diplomatic failure if they have inserted it at the instance of Pakistan and we refuse to sign on the joint statement? How is it a failure?
I've heard your question. I'm coming to that as to how the Bharatiya Janata Party's government has failed us at diplomacy. Number one, when America went first and announced the ceasefire before us, that is when the Bharatiya Janata Party's government failed us. When Trump, time and again, tom-tommed about getting the ceasefire done on the basis of trade, when he basically gave us an ultimatum that if you do not do a ceasefire, there will be no trade. If you do a ceasefire, only then will the trade happen. It was submitted in a federal court. Russia spoke the same language. I want to ask the Bharatiya Janata Party, the SCO countries,
but
how many of them did you
that was my main question. No, Ashpreet, my question stemmed from there. Haven't you realized over the last 2 months that there is no accounting for what Mr. Trump will say? Today, he literally put out a video where he said, I am NATO's daddy. Are we supposed to believe that Donald Trump is the daddy of NATO? He is a person who, after supposedly mediating a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, posted a video in which the song said, bomb Iran, bomb Iran. Are you seriously going to take this man's word for what he mediated or what he did?
Anuja, I have gotten a question. Please allow me a minute because it's the first segment itself. It's the opening remarks. So my only request to you is, I'll answer all your questions. Just hear me out. First and foremost, Padmaja, when the Bharatiya Janata Party's government, you were saying now what has Trump done, how much credible his statements are. He is the president of the United States of America. You might say you don't believe. I might say I don't believe. There are so many countries, so many people that are believing him. And because of that, Russia, a country like Russia, have started speaking the same language. Number two,
how has Russia spoken the same language?
Because Russia has also said the ceasefire was got done by the United States of America. Number two,
When
what
has
of the
Russia
money
said
that has
this?
been-
When has Russia said this?
1 second. It has said this. The
No, when?
closest
Who in Russia
aid
has said this?
country- Allow me to please, Padmaja, I can't continue like this.
But if
have
you're
already
making a
interrupted me
claim, we
7
must be
times.
very clear
Allow
about
me to
the
complete.
facts.
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how. Number one, the president's office, the closest of aides, the most important of aides, has already given the statement. Number two, Trump administration has submitted in a US federal court. Number three, so many countries that are part of the SCO have rather supported Pakistan. I want to ask the Bharatiya Janata Party's government. Padmaja, allow me 30 more seconds, please, uninterrupted. I want to ask the Bharatiya Janata Party government, how many countries at SCO did you get to condemn Pakistan and did you get to support India? Number one. Number two, what of the money that has been extended to Pakistan by the IMF, by the World Bank?
We've been down that road. We've been down about the IMF. It's been clarified ad nauseum. Okay, let's stick to the SCO. I'm going to take the SCO question.
It is a result of that because the Bharatiya Janata Party could not protect her image.
Okay, no, the two are disconnected because the 2024, because the IMF,
our image has suffered
because the money should be given to Pakistan was decided in 2024 before the Pahalgam attack. It's only the latest tranche which has gone to them. That's point number one. Point number two, on the issue of SCO, I will ask RP Singh and Adit Kothari, but can you please tell me who in Russia backed America and said that they have done the ceasefire?
That I've already told you. A very close aide of the president who has a massive say in Russia has made this statement on record. Number two.
Who is this person?
Allow me to please complete, Padmaja. Allow me to please complete. Number two, if you want the name, I'll give you the name. I'll give you the statement. I'll rather show you a report of the media outlet as well. Number two, the 4 terrorists till date have not been nabbed. Number three, the Bharatiya Janata Party lied.
Now you're going on to other things.
The Party lied to the world. 1 second, just one more thing.
No,
when the Bharatiya Janata Party lied over the
to one thing at a time.
Number of jets being down, and the CDS exposed them when the CDS told us that yes, jets have been down. Their own leader Subramaniam Swamy said jets have been down. And when
again we are going off topic, we are talking about diplomacy and our stand on terror.
And you get exposed. My request is the Bharatiya Janata Party's actions have caused us a massive setback.
Okay, Ashwit Khadiyal, I think the person you are referring to is Dmitry Medvedev, but I don't remember him ever saying that America mediated the ceasefire. So you may want to give that statement with the attribution and what he exactly said. But you are saying that you believe Donald Trump, despite all of his erratic behavior in the recent past. You believe him when he says that I mediated.
What? I don't believe him. Mr. Modi believes him. The Namaste Trump, the Howdy Modis.
Mr. Modi doesn't believe him.
Mr. Modi does.
Mr. Modi doesn't believe him. Mr. Modi believed him. Then we wouldn't have had multiple times where the foreign secretary, where the MEA spokesperson, where the government representatives have openly said there was no mediation.
What of the Namaste Trump? What of the
Mr. Modi went and called up Donald Trump and said you did not do any mediation. It was between the two of us.
1 second, Padmaja. If you say what Donald Trump says is frivolous, why share the stage with Donald Trump? Why did Mr. Modi do that? Why share the events with Donald Trump?
To say Donald Trump, you are an idiot.
If there is no relevance, if there is no significance, why did Mr. Modi have to do all these events? And
okay, we will.
The party giving lectures over terrorists. I want to ask them, Talib Hussain Shah, Tariq Ahmed Mir, Dhruv Saxena, Balram Singh. These people have had links with the LAT, ISI, Lashkar-e-Taiba, who are procuring weapons for the
Okay, now we've really gone all over the place. I don't see. Okay, just a second, Ashwit Khadiyal, hold on. First you come back to me with what Dmitry Medvedev said, but the specific point on SCO, let me take it across to RP Singh. Even the SCO was a major diplomatic blunder. Why was the mention of Balochistan even there? You should have vetted it beforehand, RP Singh. Sir, I think you're muted. Can you please unmute yourself?
Every time they're asked a question, they mute themselves.
That was a little below the belt, but go on. Unmute yourself and please go on.
He'll not be able to do that because the country wants BJP muted. The country does not want to hear the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Okay, we seem to be having a bit of an issue there, unfortunately. Adit Kothari, was it a failing on the part of the Indian diplomatic corps and diplomatic messaging? And like Operation Sindoor, like Congress has been saying, this was also a diplomatic goof-up.
On the contrary, Padmaja, I think the way the Indian diplomacy has handled this particular issue, publicly announcing how they see the double standards within the SCO, and how SCO is essentially become a shell cooperation where it's an empty shell, where it's just about pomp and pompous of all of the member nations, but actually no concrete actions coming out of the security meeting. I mean, RATS, which is basically the regional anti-terrorist structure, one of the key components of the SCO, the Article 7 of that particular institution clearly says that cross-border terrorism is something that we will all collectively endeavor to mitigate and ensure we can have a conversation on it to ensure that there are security beefed up to mitigate those challenges. So, when it's fundamentally failing to uphold that particular Article 7 of the RATS agreement, it's a failure at the end of the day, and that is what the Indian diplomacy has gone out to demonstrate, that this kind of double standards is not something which we are going to stand for, and as a consequence, we will not sign on the joint communication. So I don't understand. This is a problem that needs to be called out, Padmaja. The opposition, in its aim to sort of be electorally relevant, is going into the domain of national security, where they should be supporting the government of the day. This is something which the opposition numerous times, whether in 65, 71, even in 99, have been supportive of the government. Over here, this is a tectonic shift by the opposition in India, which is trying to carve out itself for some electoral brownie points, and as a consequence is fashionably becoming anti-India. To say things like, why is he sitting with Donald Trump? So what do you expect him to say? Do you expect him to go out and say, an idiot on his face kind of a thing? No, absolutely not. That's not what proper diplomacy says. The phone call between Donald Trump and Narendra Modi was categorical, where he was specifically said that, you did not intervene. It was the Pakistani DGMO which called up our DGMO, and as a consequence, they pleaded for a ceasefire, which we agreed to. And there was no conversation of trade whatsoever. So keep going on about this rhetoric, which serves absolutely no purpose.
Major General Sudhakar, was this in a way India's way of again underlining that we will keep our stand consistent irrespective of what anyone else is claiming about mediation, about terrorism?
Padmaja, good evening. Thank you for getting me to your show. And given your long length of expertise in journalism, you are one of the senior journalists. I'm sure you'll help me, save me from getting drawn into the political slugfest that generally takes place. I have been traveling all over the world for past 1.5 to 2 months. I'm just back to India a couple of days back. And when Operation Sindoor was launched, kept traveling from Middle East to Europe, then to USA and other countries. What actually stood out was that India was losing the information warfare. But I didn't know that I'm a witness now to our own people indulging in gross misinformation, disinformation and malinformation without being drawn into any kind of political debate. Do insulate me, being a military man. I won't like to comment on any of the political leadership or representative in the panel discussion. My own comment is that it is one of the fantastic red lines which have been drawn by India by none other than the Honorable Defence Minister. In fact, we are late by a couple of years. It should have been done much earlier. Number two, I personally feel that SCO as a platform, like Mr. Kothari has brought it out, it is actually meaningless as on today. It doesn't have any sanctity, any weightage, which is visibly available in the environment, which have been implemented with regard to the specific issue, that is the counter-terrorism stance. On one hand, if Balochi Liberation Army is being mentioned, if that train hijacking is being mentioned, it is not understood how Pahalgam can be ignored. In this world, in 21st century, I personally feel that while one is actually making an all-out effort to experience the liberal-based, rules-based international order, then we cannot afford to have two meanings, two definitions of terrorism. Pahalgam, next time, India, this is for the first time India has actually come out with a doctrinal statement that an act of terror will be taken as a war against the nation.
But so was it a feeling that the mention of Balochistan even took place in that joint statement. That India didn't sign on it is another issue. But how did it sneak in?
Yes, you see, that element of conspiracy at the moment, by virtue of lack of any evidence, we cannot come to that conclusion. I personally feel that there is a handiwork of some people, both from Pakistan and China, who have masterminded this insertion of this particular issue so as to embarrass India, put India in a tight situation. What we should be mindful is that, being a student of geopolitics, you see, at some point in time, there is a convergence of this particular factor of Balochistan between China and USA has to be understood in a comprehensive light. When I say convergence of the factor, USA, there is a strategic rivalry taking place in Pakistan. USA doesn't want penetration of China deep into the architecture or the socio-economic status of Pakistan. So as China doesn't want USA to come in such a big way, Balochistan has got a huge reserve of rare earth element worth about $6 trillion. America is looking for that. America is looking for the bases. There are a total of 5 bases, out of which I am told 2 have formally been handed over to America by Pakistan. Also, America is wanting that this CPEC, which has been actually, China has invested so much of money, out of 62 billion committed, 48 billion has already been spent on ground. China is wary of the fact that if it goes out of hand, they will be losing this money as a sunk cost. And they have invested.
So both the countries have interests in that area, but was there a conspiracy to try and embarrass India? The bigger point is, India nipped it in the bud. Can that still be called as an embarrassment to the country? We will come back on that question to R.P. Singh and Arshpreet Khadial, but after a very short break. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, careful, huh? My daddy got it from abroad. Hey, disaster! How will you pay for the loss now?
In stock market, you should take risk as per your capacity and knowledge. Trade in options very carefully.
Wow, Dikra! Absolutely perfect. Take risk with full understanding.
It's never easy to choose a new path, stand out in the crowd, to have your own new identity. The journey to self-reliance begins when you're fully prepared. Tata Motors Commercial Vehicles presents the new Ace Pro, now in bi-fuel, EV and petrol variants. So get ready to say it loud. Ace Pro, ab meri bari.